Welcome to Masters of Product Management, powered by Sequent Learning Networks, a show that provides extraordinary insights for product managers who want to go faster and farther in their product management careers.
Hello, this is JJ Rory, Vice President at Sequent Learning Networks. In our Masters of Product Management podcast, we tap into the experiences of people who work in and around product management to help you learn and grow in your product management career. When I'm advising large companies, I often encourage them to create what we call a community of practice within their organization. This community of practice is essentially a vehicle for the organization's product managers to network, share experiences and lessons learned, celebrate wins, commiserate over the chaos, and generally just spend time with other folks who understand what it's like to be a product manager. Sometimes we just get so siloed in our own world, head down, trying to get things done, that we miss the opportunity to network with our peers to help us all continue to learn and grow, even within our own organization. I also like to coach individual product managers to venture outside of their organizations to meet product managers from other companies so that they can also network and learn from different perspectives. These product communities are vital to enhancing the overall profession. They help everyone improve their skills, knowledge, and connection to the product management field. My guest today is Clement, co-founder at Product Manager HQ, a community dedicated to providing career advice for aspiring and experienced product managers. He's written over 60 best practice articles and has been featured as a speaker and writer for more than 15 different organizations. Outside of Product Manager HQ, Clement is also a product manager at Blend, a San Francisco-based startup that partners with lenders and technology providers to reimagine consumer finance. In the last 3 years, Clement has launched 4 multi-million-dollar products, and he's actively tackling new problem areas to unlock the next generation of successful products. Clement, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited to be part of the Masters of Product Management podcast. Really honored and humbled to be here with you today.
Great. Looking forward to the conversation. So, what inspired the co-founders of Product Manager HQ to launch the community?
Absolutely. So Kevin and I are both the co-founders of Product Manager HQ. For short, we call that PMHQ. And really, both of us were facing the same pains, and we decided to go tackle those pains together. And that pain was really, when we began as product managers, it was really difficult to know how to really succeed. I think we were doing a lot of things on the fly on our own, and we felt incredibly isolated and really struggled to push forward. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that others who would step in our paths, others who would break into product management, would feel a lot more secure and a lot more, a lot better groomed in terms of being able to tackle this really exciting profession. So the way that Kevin and I decided to split our focuses, Kevin has been really focused on kicking off, networking, discussions, etc., really building up kind of a community of like-minded people. And on my end, I've really been focused on providing, really prescriptive frameworks and really deep dives into my own past experiences to provide that mentorship to people who may not have mentors at work that they can easily rely on, especially if they're, product manager number one, or if this is their very first product management job out the gate. So really we were inspired by our own struggles in becoming product managers ourselves. And we kind of used that pain to drive us to create a community that's now really strong, where everyone's in it together to grow alongside one another. So that's something that I'm really humbled and proud to be a part of.
That's wonderful. And it's so important. As you say, when someone becomes a product manager, they've likely not received any sort of education, probably not even training on product management, right? Product management is a discipline, and it has processes and mindsets and skill sets that are needed. It is a multifaceted discipline that's not easy, and it's hard for new product managers to grasp all of the things that they need to do and all of the things that they need to know. And very often, as you say, organizations don't have the mentors internally because unless you've really been in the product manager seat, it's hard to grasp how chaotic it can be and how cross-functional it is and all of the different things that you've got to do to be successful. So I love that you guys have started this community and are a resource for product managers out there. So I'd be remiss to not bring this up right now. We're recording this in early April of 2020, and when people hear this months and years from now, they will still remember what April 2020 was like. We are in a world where essentially everyone is living in isolation, trying to stop the spread of COVID-19 all over the world. People are working from home and working remotely, if at all possible. How important are product communities during a time like this?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And honestly, at this point in time, it's so important that there are so many different product communities out there serving people's needs. Because at this point in time, right, when we're all isolated, quarantined at home, everyone needs that sense of connection, right? They need mentorship, they need guidance. And for the folks who are more senior, they want to be able to see their impact in the world. They want to be able to, mentor others. And, when you have all of your coffee chats cut off because you're not meeting in person, right? When you have all of your conferences cut off because that's a congregation of too many people, it can be really frustrating. And so having these, virtual communities where people can all come together is really crucial. And I think one of the things that, I've been personally really, again, like humbled and excited by is that within the Product Manager HQ community, we've seen a lot of people, jump in to explore all of these challenges together, right? Of course, one of the top of mind concerns is, okay, great, how do I work with my team remotely now? Because we used to be co-located. We used to sit right next to each other. How can we continue to be effective and serve our business and serve our customers and serve one another while there's so much additional friction between us, right? Like now there are two screens between us rather than just us being next to each other in person. That's really hard, right? Like, how do I make sure that I can continue to stay motivated, have that work-life balance when I'm sitting at home the whole time, but still working? How do I make sure that I communicate with others when I can't really see them face to face? So on the one side, we've got, so much really great discussion where everyone is learning together. And I think that's so important to have, because without that, you can feel incredibly isolated and, just feel really discouraged. And I think another thing that is really crucial about product communities right now is they're really enabling people to come together and to rally around, difficult challenges at the same time. And so what I'm seeing is that, of course, one of the really disappointing but real facets of the COVID-19 pandemic is that a lot of organizations have ramped down on hiring. But there's a lot of organizations that are still hiring. So for example, at Blend, where I'm currently working, we've opened up so many more job positions. And so one of the things that I'm seeing people do is helping one another, right? So I'm seeing people share job opportunities. I'm seeing people providing even more practice interviews than they did in the past. I'm seeing, a lot of people putting times on their calendar to say, hey, my calendar is free and open to you. What questions do you have? How can I help you continue to move forward in this really difficult time? I'm seeing, founders of, product management tools giving away free memberships for, 1 month, 3 months, et cetera, just so that way people can really access these tools and continue to grow as a product manager, even though they may not have kind of that office environment around them. So the way that, I'm really seeing the product community is that, it is your second family, or, third or fourth or fifth if you're part of multiple ones, where, again, you can feel really comfortable and you can feel that everyone is coming together to tackle a really challenging time. I think another thing that I've just been, really excited and humbled by is I'm seeing a lot of hackathons actually spin up around tackling COVID-19. And it's been a really amazing way to see people who are not yet product managers try to step up into the product management role by trying to product manage that hackathon project, right? How do we track new cases? Or how might we help someone self-report? Or how might we ensure that people get news? How might we help people find masks nearby them, hand sanitizer near them, et cetera? So just product communities at this point in time are so important. And I think with the pandemic demonstrating to us how kind of fragile our physical environments can be, one of the things that I project happening in the future is that there's going to be an acceleration into more and more of these communities together. So I'm just, again, really humbled to see everyone come together in these really tough times, and really excited about the future of these product management communities where people are really enabling each other to grow together.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I'm so proud of the product management community and really just the kind of societies at large, right? I happen to live in the U.S., but all over the world, people are coming together and helping each other and trying to weather this storm together as much as possible. And specifically for product management folks, it's, as you said, how can we help each other? How can we be there for our customers? How can we keep learning and growing? And I happen to agree with you. I think the product manager community landscape is going to be even better because of this. I think, I'm involved in multiple communities, New York Women in Product and the Women in Product group that's a global group, and just a lot of different communities that I like to participate in. Product camps, for example, I was scheduled to be at about 4 or 5 of them around the country in April, and of course those in-person events aren't happening, but the community is rallying as much as possible in a virtual way and leveraging all of the tools that we can to continue to support each other. So I agree with you. It has been one of the bright spots during this is to see people coming together to try and help each other and be there for each other, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about PMHQ. I'd love to hear the various aspects of the community and maybe what pain points each aspect is meant to address for its members.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of the PMHQ community, the way that I like to think about it is that we've got a couple of really core pillars to the community, each one serving a different set of needs, but all of them working in concert together to really, again, enable product managers to grow alongside others, even if they may not have those resources with them within their current organization. And so the first part that I like to think about is our Slack community. We've got more than 8,000 active Slack members within our community. And really, that's meant to be a place of discussion, right? Exactly as you said, communities of practice where people are really talking shop. And so one of the things that I really appreciate is that we have people from all around the world in various industries, various disciplines, and also in different levels of seniority, et cetera. And I think that really lends to a really rich conversation, right? So when you have heads of product with directors of product, with experienced PMs, with aspiring PMs, all talking about, well, how do you write a user story, right? Or how do you deal with a customer objection? Or how do you actually work alongside engineers and designers? Those kinds of discussions are so rich when so many different people with different perspectives are all chiming in. And so that's our Slack community is really robust because it comes from such a diverse background, right? And I think one of the things that we try to do a good job of is help to curate and kickstart additional conversations and kind of draw in other folks as we know that they may have some perspectives that are really helpful for the conversation, right? So our Slack community again has a lot of really great channels for people to be able to talk about really targeted things, whether it's around, hey, I need to do practice interviews, or whether, hey, I'm actually an interviewer and I need to practice how do I interview PMs, right? Whether it's about grooming stories, working alongside engineers, working alongside designers, tackling B2B products, B2C products, all of that really enables people to grow alongside one another in a way where as soon as you have a question, you can ask, and that 7,999 plus people are all there waiting to help you out, just really excited to see you grow, right? So that's really our Slack community. And the second part of our community is our blog. And so one of the things that I've been really privileged to be able to do is to share my insights with so many different readers and provide a really prescriptive set of best practices that I've seen within my own experiences. And I think creating these evergreen resources for people to be able to rally around, again, helps to kickstart additional conversations, right? And so one of the things that we see happen synergistically between our Slack community, our Slack and our blog is that, when we put up a discussion about, hey, for example, this is how you might tackle sequencing out how to get a project done on time, right? We can use that as a reference point within our Slack discussions and say, hey, here's our stance on it. How do other people think, right? And when we see that there are gaps in terms of the conversations, people are saying, well, I don't really know how to tackle this thing. Clement, can you help us out? I can go ahead and draw on my research and my experiences and create that resource for others to reference in the future so that, you don't always have to be sitting in Slack. You can actually go and see these reference materials whenever. And I'd say kind of the final aspect that we think is really crucial is our weekly newsletter. And so our weekly newsletter, we pull from more than 100 different websites across the entire world. And we're always looking for what are the 5 absolutely highest value pieces of information that we can share with others, right? How do we help others grow as leaders? How do we help them gain more empathy for their cross-functional partners, whether it's marketing or sales or engineering, et cetera? How do we really help to advance the conversation forward and provide knowledge, not just for people who might be aspiring to break into product, but even providing knowledge for people who are directors of product or even higher, and enabling their direct reports to continue to grow alongside them. And again, we see a lot of kind of really great synergistic effects between our Slack community, our newsletter, and our blog, where we see that we're able to kickstart a lot of these conversations to enable people to grow. So I think really what we're always focused on is how do we provide long-lasting value for someone who is on their product management journey, where without us, they might not actually be able to make a lot of progress. How do we help light their way and empower them to grow as a leader so that then they can give back and they can also light the way for others and really feel that sense of impact in terms of growing the next generation of product folks?
So I want to dig a little bit there. I'm quite interested in your thoughts on this, especially around the content and understanding where your members, where the community wants to go. So I'm constantly trying to determine what content will be most helpful, right, for the product management world. You've written 60 plus articles read by hundreds of thousands of people. So how do you determine what to write about? How do you keep up the work and make sure that it's always on point and of interest and of need to the product management community?
Yeah, for sure. So the way that I treat writing is actually the same way that I like to treat product management, in that when I think about what content can we create to really solve a pain, it really boils all the way back down to user research. It's what are the pains that we are best positioned to go ahead and address. And so what I mean by that is, of course, there are so many different questions within product management, right? Like exactly as you said, it's a multifaceted discipline where you're always filling the white space. There's an infinity of things to learn. We can't boil the ocean. So what is the thing that will drive the most impact? And so what I like to do is I like to really tie together both quantitative analytics as well as qualitative feedback in terms of deciding what is it that we're going to talk about next within our blog. And so in terms of quantitative analytics, of course, you can always look at trends that are happening within Google search as an example, right? You can always see what are the articles that people are opening up and reading and staying on for a really long time, because that might be a signal that, hey, there is some additional information that needs to be shared here. And of course, from a qualitative perspective, if we're seeing that there's suddenly a lot of interest within our Slack community about a topic where folks may not have been able to get to a satisfying answer, or whether I'm getting phone calls, emails, LinkedIn requests of, hey, Clement, I'd really love if you could go ahead and cover this topic. Kind of tying these two together, of course, is always an art. That's the art of product management, is you have to incorporate both the quantitative, how much impact is there, as well as the qualitative, how deep is this pain, how relevant is it? And then tying these things together to say, great, now I know what the roadmap should be, right? And kind of speaking about a roadmap, it's not like, any article is ever going to be perfect. And so I think a lot of it is an iteration, right? So I've been really lucky to be able to iterate, again, more than 60 times in creating this evergreen reference material to share with the community and, kickstart a conversation and get that feedback so that I can learn, great, how do I do better next time? How can I continue to provide value across a variety of topics that people find really impactful for them? And just in terms of, just making sure that, I keeping on, I think one of the things that's really important is when you're a writer or when you're a podcaster or, when you are a vlogger, blogger, etc., when you're looking to create content periodically, I think one of the things that's really important is making sure that you have a really rigorous schedule around you, because then that takes away a lot of it really creates a lot of structure and really helps to keep you motivated, even during times where you might not feel that motivation right out the gate. I think one of the things that I love saying to my fellow creators is motivation is a fickle beast, but momentum you can always rely on. And once you have that momentum going in, once you know that, great, I'm like 2 hours into researching what I want to write about, that momentum sparks motivation, right? And so I think one of the things that's really helped me is having a really rigorous calendar schedule of, on XYZ Saturdays for these blocks of times, I'm going to be doing research. And then on Sundays during these blocks of times, I'm going to be outlining. And, then looking across all my entire calendar, I know that, by this point in time, I'm going to be, wherever I am in terms of writing materials for others. And so I think that then ensures that I can continue to drive forward on that roadmap. I can continue to provide value to the community, again, through understanding quantitatively how much interest is there on a topic, and qualitatively, what are the perspectives that I should bring to the table that people haven't heard yet. So that's really how I like to think about providing valuable reference materials for others.
Yeah, I think that's so perfect. I think the idea that the content itself is a product, and that you're trying to get voice of customer constantly is a really great way to look at it, right? That's exactly what you're doing. You're looking for feedback on what new content the community is looking for. So I think that's fabulous. And I can definitely attest to the schedule. I'm writing a book, and I've been saying that now for about 2 years, and because I've been writing a chapter here and a verse here and a this there. And over the last few months or so, probably this year, really, I've been very focused, very, structured, have some project plan around my writing. And so I can definitely attest that helps you. It's too easy to put this off, especially when we all have, day jobs, when writing isn't our number one day job. So my final question to you is really just, what advice would you give to product managers in how to best access and utilize these important product communities that are out there?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that I've noticed in terms of looking across the product communities that I'm a part of is the people who put in a lot are the people who get back the most. And so one of the really large mistakes that I see is, someone might say, oh, I am interested in joining, the PMHQ community or, many other communities. And when they first join, they say, great, I'm just going to, passively watch these conversations, see whether anything pops up of interest. And then they quickly become disengaged because they're saying, well, none of this is relevant to me. And the thing is, as with any community, you need to be an active part of that community to get out what you're looking for, right? So I think one of the things that, I try to do to help is when I notice that, hey, someone's joined and they haven't really been speaking, if I can reach out to them and say, hey, what's on your mind? I've seen that you've been apart for a little bit, haven't really seen you speak up. How can we best help you? Really getting them to voice, well, I was looking for how to tackle these types of analytics, or, well, I was really looking to understand how can I find jobs in a particular geographic area. Then I'm actually able to say, great, well, here are the places where you can raise these questions. Let me facilitate this for you. And then I see them become a lot more engaged and really start to get that value. But I think when you are a passive part of the community, it can be very hard to get the value that you're specifically looking for. And I think a lot of that comes from maybe it's inertia, maybe it's fear of looking silly or of looking uninformed. And the thing is, I can confidently tell you that every community is here to help you, right? And so we would love if you spoke up. We would love if you could share your questions so that everyone can jump in and help you out, right? We would love if you could even provide a stance of, hey, this is the way that I'm thinking about a problem. Folks, I'd love your perspective on it, right? Like, the more that you put into the community, the more that we can give back. And this applies, of course, not just through virtual product management communities, but also even at work, right? Like when you actively ask your peers for feedback, or when you're actively asking your peers for, hey, well, how can I improve on XYZ? They're so happy to give that to you, right? And so I think one of the things that's really important in any community, within any organization that you're a part of, is to make sure that you're proactively asking questions to others with a genuine excitement to learn. And that's how you get back what you're looking for, right? When you're joining the conversation, when you're providing your perspective, that is when you can really start to learn alongside others. And so I really encourage, whenever someone is first joining a community, please introduce yourself. Tell us what it is that you're really interested in, and the community will rally around you, right? So when someone comes in and says, oh, Clement, I'm looking to break into product management, and I'm not really sure how to start, I can provide resources right out the gate, right? And so if you provide that, that's really helpful. Or if you say, hey, Clement, I'm really interested in finding mentees because I really want to grow the next generation. I can say, great, here are a couple of people who are in your field who are exactly looking for a mentor right now, and you'd be the perfect fit, right? And so kind of the more you raise, this is what I want to get out of it proactively, the more that the community can provide that to you. But if you kind of join silently, you don't really get everything that you might want. And so I really encourage folks, there are so many amazing product communities out there. And, whichever one you do decide to choose, just remember that you do need to put in effort to be able to get back what you're looking for. And by joining the conversation and providing your perspective, not only are you helping others grow, but others will also help you grow in turn. And so that's why I think I've been so excited to be a part of, my communities, is that I've been really pouring myself into those communities. And I feel so enriched by having done so, because I see a lot of really amazing learnings come back to me. So can't stress that enough. Please, please, please raise your hand, ask questions whenever you're in whichever community, because that is how everyone will rally around you to ensure that you succeed.
Great advice. This has been just a great discussion. Product managers, again, please take advantage of and participate in Product Manager HQ and other great product communities that are out there. It will help you and it will help the community at large. Great resources for learning, mentoring, sharing best practices, and just generally socializing with others. Clement Cowell, thank you so much for joining me today. And thanks for all you're doing for the product management community.
Absolutely. And again, thank you, JJ, for creating this amazing podcast series. Folks, really give the other ones a listen. Really excited that you've been leading the community through podcasts. So thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Masters of Product Management, powered by Sequent Learning Networks. I am JJ Rory, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Masters of Product Management, powered by Sequent Learning Networks. If you'd like to take your career to the next level with additional tools, training, coaching, and books, be sure to visit Sequent Learning Networks at sequentlearning.com.